Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome to the July 2023 update for our Zilla Blitz tabletop and PC wargaming and strategy gaming channel. Lots of ground to cover today, and if you're not familiar with these episodes, these are basically kind of a 10 to 15 minute ramble where I talk about what's going on at the channel, talk about things I hope to do at the channel, show a little bit of the numbers behind the scenes, and generally kind of ask some questions about people's thoughts on the channel as well. So let's jump in. We got a lot of ground to cover. I want to touch briefly on the channel split that happened a couple of months ago. I have an announcement to make that I think is kind of exciting. I want to talk about some future changes to the kind of style and kind of nature of content on the channel. And then I have a question for people that's kind of connected to that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it going forward. So a bunch of stuff to talk about. Let's jump in and get started. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I just want to say that the channel split, and if you're not familiar with it, this channel used to have tabletop wargaming, PC wargaming content, as well as things like Truck Driver, American Truck Simulator, Euro Truck Simulator content, simulation content for PC, all mixed into one channel. I decided that was creating confusion for viewers and confusion for YouTube. So 2 months ago, I split it off. Two things really to say about it that I think bear on this update. One is that the split's going really well, I think. I'm liking the second channel. Things seem to be moving along pretty well there. But more importantly, I feel like this channel now, YouTube understands it better. And that'll kind of have a bearing, I think, as we take a look at some of the numbers behind the scenes. So if you haven't, by the way, if you're looking for the simulation content and you haven't found that, you're wondering what happened with that, I'll put a link down below to the Zilla Blitz second gear channel, which is where all the new simulation content goes. But now let's take a look at our numbers. Now, last May, we had 70,000 views on this channel. In June, we had 76,800 views. So it's up about 6,000, 7,000 views. That's still down from the 100,000 peak when both stuff was together in like November, December and stuff like that. But considering the number of videos I'm able to create, I'm liking the trends, and it feels like YouTube is understanding the videos better. Like the videos that are going out seem to be being better received than they were when the channel was blended together. Hours watched, 7.2 thousand in May, up to 8,000 in June. Again, down from the peak when they were together, but kind of trending in the right direction. Subscribers was 284 new subscribers in May, 351 new subscribers in June. So again, numbers trending in the right direction. Now, in May, I made 10 videos, and that's always one of the things I like to talk about too. In June, I was only able to make 9 videos. It's kind of a long story. I won't belabor the point, but basically the busiest time of my work year is between the middle of May to early June. This year, that busy time in early June extended well into the middle part of June, which is really unusual. Shouldn't happen every year. That created really kind of a lot of pressure on time to be able to create more videos in the first half of June. Then we had a family trip that's usually less than a week, and this year it was actually 10 days. So that kind of ate up some time in the back end of June. That made kind of compressed June into having less time than I thought I was going to have to be able to make videos. The good thing is that now I'm on 50% reduced summer workload for the rest of July as well as all of August. So I'm looking forward to concentrating to get things back up to speed here and to kind of crank out some content and play some games. It should be a fun summer going forward. One of the other things I like to do in these updates is to set some goals for the upcoming month and talk about how we did in the previous goals. I'll set the goals for the upcoming month later. In June, we had 2 simple goals. Have fun. I did that even though the time was a little bit limited. The second goal was to create 20 videos. Yeah, that one we didn't reach, but considering the flare-ups with work and then some travel that was more extended than I thought, I'm pretty happy about with how June went. And a quick shout out to our Patreon supporters. Over the course of the past month in June, one of the things that I was able to do was to completely rebuild my PC. So I upgraded the CPU, the graphics card, and then added some SSD memory. It was getting strained at the edges, and this should position it now for about 2 to 3 years of really good performance. So thank you again for the Patreon supporters. I use those funds to turn that into things to make videos on the channel better. Also with 4 new Patreon supporters in the month of June. Josh Wright, John Wolf, Robert Delaney, and Marcus. Thank you so much for jumping on board and for everybody who's been there, some of whom have been there for quite a while. I want to talk now about what I think is going to be the meatiest portion of the update, kind of the future of wargaming and strategy gaming content on the channel going forward. And to do that, I have to talk a little bit about the evolution of the types of content that's come on the channel in the past year and a year and a half. Now, this is something I've been thinking about for a while. I got a chance to think about it for the past week and a half deeply while I was on family vacation and kind of standing away from the channel, kind of taking some notes and things like that. And I want to kind of share where I think I'm heading for the future. To do that, though, I do have to talk a little bit about the past. So 2 years ago, a little bit more than 2 years ago, I put up the first tabletop wargaming video on the channel. And at that point in time, basically, I could look at my shelf and say, oh, I think I'll try something with this game. And I pull it off and I do it. Oh, let's take a look at this game. Or, oh, wow, I want to make a video on this game. So I had kind of really, there weren't very many kind of things that were dictating what I put up, except whatever happened to be in my head at that particular moment in time. Then about a year and a half ago, review companies started reaching out with review copies of the game. And I really like doing the review copies. Those are tremendously fun. They're greatly appreciated. Love looking. Some of them are prototypes and it's kind of a first look at a game. You get to learn the game, make the content, review the game, kind of do things like that. And it's been really fun doing that content. Nevertheless, right around December and January, I said yes to way too many review projects than I could possibly bite off. I just didn't do the math, because sometimes if it's a complicated game, doing a first look, creating some gameplay, and then producing a review for game, it can take me like 50, 60 hours to do that series from start to finish, because you're learning the game. I got to learn how to play the game well. Sometimes there's questions. I usually have to play the game at least 2 times before I feel like I can comfortably record a kind of a session of the game. So sometimes like 50, 60 hours to create this series for one single game. I said yes to way too many projects. And as a result, I've been feeling a lot of urgency over the past few months to kind of, when a review copy comes in, to try to get to that and play it and move forward. And it's led to kind of almost in my own gaming, a little bit of a churning effect. So I'm like, I learn a game, play the game a couple times, create a video, and it's like, oh, wow, I got to move on to the next one. Whoa, wow, I got to move on to the next one. And while that's fun, I think it's led to the channel becoming somewhat one-dimensional. It's largely the content for the past 6 months has been doing something with review content that's come in for the channel to look at. And this has been great fun, but I also realize I want the content on the channel to be a little bit more varied and leave a little bit more room for me to look at things like older games, or look at series of games, or to take a game that I really want to do something kind of crazy with and try a new idea with, rather than being, as it's been for the past 6 months, which is 100% dictated by review content. Basically, what I want to do is I want to change the structure of that content on the channel. And I'm going to be, I first got to kind of play through and record the remaining review projects that have built up in that backlog. That's going to be kind of the goal for the next 2 or 3 months, is to play through all of those ones that I've made commitments to, that I want to honor and I want to keep playing through. However, going forward, as kind of working forward, I'm going to kind of really restrict the review copies that I look at and the review copies that I evaluate in the channel, because I want to change the nature of the channel from being 100% kind of review projects to being about 1/3 review projects, about 1/3 kind of deeper gameplay explorations, so longer series, older games and things like that. Just kind of have a little bit more creative freedom as to the types of games and the types of content that I'm putting up on the channel. And then another 1/3 of the channel, these are rough numbers, of course, another 1/3 of the channel, I would like to do other things like designer interviews, like game comparisons. Like I've really wanted to kind of take a look, for example, at, say, what are top 4 D-Day games or Overlord games that are out there on the market, and play through all 4 and then make some comparison videos for them. And just try a lot more crazier ideas with some of the content on the channel, so that I've got a little bit more kind of creative freedom as to what kind of content goes up on the channel. So that's going to be kind of a thing that I'm hoping to shift into over the course of the next 2 or 3 months. I mean, to be fair, it's probably going to take me at least July and August to complete the remaining review projects that have come in. But then as we start to get into the fall, I'm hopeful to be able to shift into a lot and more varied types of content on the channel. I'd be very curious to hear what people think about this and thoughts and ideas on this, because it's kind of, I'm happy with the way things are, but I feel like still I would like to create a better balance on the channel. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments as to what you think about this kind of what's become rather long monologue on the types of content going forward on the channel. That leads us to the first of the upcoming goals on the channel for there, and kind of an idea on what kind of content I hope to put up on the channel in the rest of July here. First up, goal number 1 is I want to have fun. The second goal is to review about 1/3 of the remaining review projects that are in the queue coming forward. So that dictates the kind of content that we'll see on the channel. I've got a list here of the upcoming ones that are coming sooner than later. Blood and Fury World at War 85. I'd hoped to do that in June, but June got kind of compressed, so that's up next. Tank on Tank We'll be looking at that game. Traces of War from VUCA Simulations. We Are Coming Nineveh from Nuts Publishing. A Most Fearful Sacrifice from Flying Pig Games. Sicily 43 from Assault Games. Antietam from Pub Battles. And La Primogenita from Legion Wargames. That's kind of the first batch of review content that I hope to play and create content for over the upcoming months. So we'll see how that goes going forward. But again, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that kind of the long monologue about the future of the channel as we go forward here. I also have an announcement to make that I'm kind of excited about. So some of you might know that we've created content for Cube for Me Storage Solutions, showing some of their storage sets and how they work with different war games and things like that. So going forward, I'm going to be working together with them to create some sets for their website and be kind of posting pictures and probably adding some little snippets into some videos now and then about the different storage solutions for some of the games. I'm kind of excited about this because I feel really comfortable with it because I really like their storage solutions. Their trays are awesome. They work so well for just kind of maximizing the storage space in game boxes and being really efficient for getting the counters out of games and being able to manipulate the game and play the game in an efficient manner. So I'm excited about this. Basically, I'm going to be kind of creating some sets for them for specific games, this kind of building up their catalog of games on their channel. So I'll be like taking pictures of them, and they're kind of fun because they're little puzzles. When you get a game and you've got all the counters, you're like, okay, how can I take some of the trays, which are all these different sizes, fit the counters in them in a way that makes sense with the gameplay of the game, create some pictures for that, and then kind of have this be a little bit of a set that goes with that particular game. So it's going to be a little bit of a side project, but I'm excited to be able to be working together with them going forward. And again, it's a product and a company that I've really enjoyed working with. They're great people. They're fun to work with, based in Poland. So it's been, just a really fun little side thing. So I'm excited to kind of make this an official thing, if you would, and kind of working together with them going forward. Lastly, in addition to feedback on the kind of the nature of the wargaming and strategy gaming content on the channel going forward, I do have a question for people, and it kind of relates to that, because one of the things I would like to do as well with the channel going forward is to make it a little bit more social. I feel like right now, a lot of the social interaction comes from the comments on the videos, from people on the Patreon page, from Twitter and things like that. But I'm thinking about how you can make the channel a more social interaction experience. Some of the things we've done in the past too is like having people pick characters in a playthrough and their characters there, like the crew on the submarines would be after characters who watch videos and things like that. So I want to get back to doing more of that, and that kind of gets into the idea of shifting the nature of content on the channel. But I'm also thinking about other things. Like I'd like to start doing designer interviews. A number of designers have reached out in the past about doing those types of things, but I haven't really done them yet. And again, it gets back to the idea that there's been quite a bit of time constraints by the nature of the review projects that I've taken on. So designer interviews is one that I would definitely like to add. I'm also thinking about how I might add live content to the channel. Not so much playthroughs, but maybe some Vassal playthroughs or some multiplayer or two-player kinds of things to kind of build up on. These are kind of creative ideas that I haven't really fleshed out yet, but I'd be curious to hear what people think about that. The last thing I'm curious too about, what about a Discord server for the channel? Now, the Discord server would probably incorporate both channels, the Zilla Blitz channel and the Zilla Blitz Second Gear channel. It wouldn't make sense to have two separate ones for that. But I'd be curious if people might be interested in joining something like that. It'd have more content and conversation about stuff that's going on the channel, input into videos, collect people's thoughts, talk about videos to a greater depth than YouTube usually allows. Because YouTube is okay for conversation, but honestly, once a video it gets about a week or two old, people tend to not post on it. And conversations tend to at most have like 2, 3, maybe 4 replies. And it's usually the first person who posted the comment and then me. Sometimes other people will join in, but it's not necessarily a place where conversation thrives, if that makes sense. They're kind of very short interactions on that. So I'd be curious to hear what people think about a dedicated YouTube server, a dedicated Discord server for the channel as well. And with that, I've chatted about everything I think I've wanted to talk about in this update. Again, I'd be curious to hear your comments on the content nature of the channel, on the Discord stuff, on increasing social interaction in the channel and stuff like that. Love to hear your comments. It's always been the greatest, I keep saying it, but it's always been the greatest surprise to this YouTube adventure has been just getting to know all the people that watch the channel, follow the channel, offer input and thoughts and ideas and jokes and all that kind of stuff. Patreon support, again, has been super greatly appreciated. Thank you to everybody who's done that. And thank you to everybody who's liked, subscribed, commented, and been here for this journey. It's still been the most fun thing for me that's come out of the pandemic. So thank you to everybody who's been a part of the adventure. See you in another month for another update on the channel as well. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.